Hey guys, Dylan from lolcoach.academy here. The video I've got for you today is an op.gg review I've done of someone in their first season playing ranked. So for those of you who don't know, I do op.gg reviews through my site, basically telling you the key concepts you need to understand as a player to climb. Now, the problem with my op.gg reviews is I provide information, players absorb it, they agree with it, but then they don't actually implement it. So the one thing I want you to get from this video is listen to the 4 key things I tell this player to do and then implement them into your gameplay, particularly if you're a new player to ranked, particularly if it's your first season, but also if you're struggling to climb. These key concepts, these principles that as long as you stick to them when playing ranked, you will eventually climb. You might not climb next week, next month, but over a season, you're going to get really good results if you listen to those principles. So enjoy this video. So currently you're silver 4 and your goal rank is to get to platinum. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. Silver to plat, it's a big journey. You're basically going from the top 70, the bottom 30% to about the top 10% of League of Legends players. So that's a really big jump. You're pretty much going to have to get better than about 800,000 players in your region. So just understanding the importance, not the importance, but understanding just how dramatic a change from silver to plat is. It's definitely possible, but you cannot be expecting to go from silver to platinum doing what you're doing right now. Because if what you're doing right now worked, Jeremiah, you would be climbing on your way to platinum instead of being in silver 4 on 29 LP. Now, that's not a criticism of how you play or your skill level or anything like that, because I can see that it looks like it could be your first season playing League of Legends. So, firstly, if this is your first season playing ranked, I congratulate you. Getting to silver 4, so the fact that you're already better than 30% of your region and it's your first season playing ranked is actually really impressive, Jeremiah. And we always get caught up in this thing. So I'm just going to shut my door. We always get caught up in this thing where we're always trying to compare ourselves to others, when in reality, we should really be comparing ourselves to who we were yesterday. So yes, you can be like, oh, well, I'm better than 30% of players already, but are you better than who you were yesterday? Are you constantly improving? Do you know how to constantly improve? Do you know a method of getting yourself better each day, improving each day, and therefore indirectly increasing your rank? Because just because you're a better player doesn't mean your rank's automatically going to go up. It will go up, but it's indirect. You might get really bad teammates. You might get trolls. You might get whatever. You might be playing much better for a day, maybe even a week, but your results won't show. What you have to do is play better consistently over months at a time, because a week, a day, anything can happen. You could get a 5-game loss streak. You could get 3 inters on your team in one day. But over a month, the chances of you getting trolls, the enemy getting trolls, all that stuff evens out. And so it's much better to look at your progress monthly rather than like daily or weekly, particularly when things are going really well or really bad, because the effect has the same way. You could just be getting really good teammates for a day or a week. Conversely, you could be getting really bad teammates for a day or a week. So it makes sense. Now, the number one thing you need to figure out right now is, one, do you actually want to get to platinum, or is that just an idea in your head because a friend's told you, or you like the idea of being platinum? Have you really thought being platinum and thinking about what it takes, or do you even know what it takes? So what I'm going to quickly describe is basically the way I would say 99% of people climb in League of Legends. Let's say like 97%, because there are maybe like 3% of players who don't use this method to climb. What 97% of players do to climb, and trust me, they're not all effective in this, but the strategy they use is the same, just the way they implement it is depending on how successful they are when they climb, is they choose one role and a small champion pool, and they stick to it. If you're trying to play League of Legends and you're trying to climb, particularly if you're a new player and you're trying to play 10 champions at once, it's like trying to learn 10 languages at once. They've got similarities. Spanish is kind of like Portuguese. Danish is kind of like Polish. You can kind of make these similarities, these connections, just like champions. This champion's similar to this one. This one's played in the same role, la, 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 la. But Imagine trying to learn 10 languages and then taking a test at the end of the year versus learning one language and taking a test at the end of the year. Do you think you'll do better in that one language test at the end of the year or the 10 language test at the end of the year? So you get 12 months to study. You can either choose to study just one language, get really good at it, or you can choose to divide your time up by 10 and try and learn 10 different languages and then take a test at the end of the 12 months. You can basically understand that if you just try to learn one language at a time, you're going to do much better, especially when you do it over a period of time, and especially when you develop a plan around it. So you have a reason as to why you want to play that champion or learn that language. I'm now kind of using those interchangeably, but I'm going to switch it to champion. So that's how I like to look at champion pools. That's how I like to look at strategy, because that is the way the vast majority of players climb in League of Legends. So it's a little weird theory, and I'm not too sure if that's the best way to explain it yet in terms of languages, but it's basically like trying to learn to do 10 things at once in a job rather than just learning one thing at a time, like school. Think about it like that. So what you need to do right now is, one, understand that it's going to be tough to get to platinum, and you're most likely not going to be do it if this you're most likely not going to be able to do it if this is your first season playing ranked. It's just really hard. No one really gets to platinum in their first season. Like maybe like 1%, 2% of new players might make it to platinum. And that's really being optimistic. So just understand that it's not really realistic for you to go from silver to plat as a new player. It doesn't mean it's not possible. It just means it's going to take time, it's going to take work, and it's going to take you consistently improving. So if you understand now kind of, the importance, or I guess the difficulty in climbing to platinum, I'm going to move on, Jeremiah. So that's just firstly understanding your ranked goal, how hard it is, and being realistic about it. Second, you need to build a strategy. So if you're still committed to platinum, or let's say you're just aiming for gold this season or some other rank, it doesn't really matter. You need to build a strategy to get there. Just like playing a competitive sport like soccer, rugby, whatever, just like you're probably still in school, but just like when you go to work and you've got to set business objectives, you need to do this, you need to come up with a plan. Just like school, you have a curriculum, you have a plan of this is what we work on in lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, lesson 4, and you slowly build up your knowledge until you get to that end of year exam or that end of year assignment or that mid-year assignment, and you're able to do it because you've learned step by step, because you have a plan, because you've understood what it takes to get there, and you've followed it consistently. So you need a strategy. What I call it is basically a climbing thesis, a principle or a statement that is going to guide you. So, for example, I could use one as, I'm just using one as an example. I am only going to play 80 carry when I'm playing ranked solo queue. I am only going to play Tristana, Kai'Sa, and Jhin when I play 80 carry in solo queue. I am playing these 3 champions because I have a 53% plus win rate on them. Therefore, I know that they can help me climb. That's basically an example of a climbing thesis. Now, if you don't have champions that are at positive win rates yet, so above 53%, basically you really want champions that are at 53% in order to climb. If you don't have champions like that, you need to make a choice. You need to go, well, hang on, I'm not going to care too much about my rank right now. I'm just going to keep learning, keep trying out champs until I get some champions at a 53% plus win rate. Or you do what you're currently doing right now, where you're like just playing a bit of every champion. I can see you're playing LeBlanc here, you're playing Mordekaiser, you're playing basically every lane in ranked, which doesn't make sense because it's not a strategy, and it's not what the vast majority, 97% of players, use as a strategy to climb. Basically, no one does this if they're wanting to climb. Now, a lot of players fall into the trap that you're doing because you don't really know what champion you want to play, you're not sure what role you want to climb with, and it can get confusing because you hear, YouTube videos like don't play top lane's useless, or 80 carries in a really weak state right now, or mid's really bad. But at the end of the day, there is a one trick for every single champion in League of Legends that is at least in Master Tier. There is also a player who plays any of the roles. So AD carry, support, jungle, mid, top, in the top 0.0, the top 20 players in each region, there's one person from every role. So that debunks the myth that there's champions that are weaker than others and therefore you can't possibly climb with them. No, some champions are weaker, some champions are stronger in certain situations, some champions are meta, some champions aren't, but that doesn't mean you can't climb with them. It just means it might be harder, or it might be different, or it's going to be really tough in this meta or against these champions. But if other players can do it, if other players can climb with any champion in the game, it means you can as well. So I do not want you to be basing your champion pool off what other people are saying. I want you to base your champion pool off two things: the champions you enjoy playing and the champions you are good at. What I also want you to do is, if you still don't know what role you want to play, keep playing all the roles until you discover the role that you enjoy the most. Again, come back to those two questions: the role that I enjoy playing the most and the role that I'm having the most success on. Those two questions are the only two questions you need to answer consistently to climb. If you can answer those two questions every single week, every time you log into League of Legends, those two questions you can answer, you are eventually going to climb, because those are the two keys to success in climbing. You need to enjoy what you're playing and you need to be good at what you're playing. Now, in terms of the ratios, there's no golden rule. There's no, you have to, be really good at the champion, but you can't enjoy them, or it has to be a 50-50 split. No, you need to be comfortable on your own with what you choose. You have to discover what you are comfortable with as an individual. Some people will play champions they hate, but they're really good at, because they really want to climb. So you got to attach it to your goal. You got to attach whether you're choosing more on, you're leaning heavily on champions that you enjoy playing but might not be good at, versus champions you're good at that you might not enjoy playing. Ideally, you find the perfect golden area where you really enjoy the champion and you're really good at them, Jeremiah, but sometimes that's not the case. We get bored sometimes on champions that we're really good at. So you need to find that perfect balance and align it to your ranked goal. If you want to do whatever it takes to get to platinum, then you got to go with, I'm only playing the champions I'm good at. If I enjoy playing them as well, great. But my number one condition for the champions that I'm playing is I have to be good at them. And good at them, you can define objectively. If that champion is not giving you a 53% plus win rate over 30 or more games, that is not a champion you can use to climb with. Now, you might go, well, then how can I test champions? How can I figure out which champion I'm good at? There's a few ways. The first one is get 2 accounts. So you have one account for learning, having fun, and trying new things. And you have one account for climbing. You have one account for playing the champions that you know are going to get you the results to climb to the rank that you want to get to, Jeremiah. Then you have this account. If you're tilted, if you want to have fun, if you want to play with a team, a duo, but you know he always rages and makes you play worse, go on this account. If you want to learn a new role, if you want to learn a new champion, if you want to learn a new build path, go to this account, play, figure it out, see if it works, and then bring it over to your main account. Have one account for climbing, one account for learning and having fun. Now, if you don't want to have 2 accounts, or like you don't want to level up an account, or you don't want to buy an account, I'm not saying, you need to buy an account or whatever to get 2 accounts. I don't offer service, so I do not sell accounts or anything like that. But if you don't want to do that, you can also do this with FlexQ. So the cool thing about Flex is on op.gg, you can actually see your FlexQ ranks. So let's say you're really worried about your win rate right now. You're at 39%, you've played 50 games and you're silver 4, and you're really worried now because you're like, oh shit, I'm not climbing. Cool, take a break from ranked solo queue. That rank's not going to go anywhere. Go to FlexQ and start trying these champions out that you're trying in solo queue. Put them into FlexQ and see if you can get win rates that are 53% or higher in solo queue. That's my biggest recommendation to you, and that is all you need to figure out right now. What you need to do is come up with a climbing thesis. Like I said in this video earlier, you can go back, re-listen to what I say. Focus on champion pool, role, and win rates. Those are the big three. Champion pool, role, win rates. That answer two questions. Am I good at this champion? Do I enjoy playing this champion? Those are the two questions you need to answer based on how high you want to climb and how badly you want it. Those are the big two you need to focus on. I don't even really need to worry about anything else I'm seeing on these stats right now because these aren't a true indicator of your skill. You're playing, look how many champions you've played in your, so you've played, what is it, like 50 games of ranked? You've played 14 champions. That basically means like 1 in 3 games, you're playing a new champion. Or sorry, I should say like 1 in 4 games, you're basically playing a new champion. So of course you're not going to be able to get better at League of Legends quickly because you're trying to learn 14 champions at once. Coming back to that language analogy. You know, if you're trying to learn 10 languages at once, of course you're not going to climb as quickly as someone who's just learning one language. You're not going to progress as far. If you and a mate, let's say, started at the same rank and your challenge was to play 14 champions and climb to gold, and all he had to do was choose one champion that he liked, that he enjoyed playing, that he was good at, to climb to gold. Who do you think statistically would win? Who do you think is more likely to get to gold first? It's the person who chose that one champion. So, Jeremiah, those are the big things I want you to focus on. Now, in terms of streamlining this, in terms of knowing from or learning from other people who've done this before, I'm going to give you some coaching recommendations. 1, YouTube's your best friend. Watch educational content on there, but make sure you're accountable. 2, once you've got your climbing thesis and you have your champion pool that are giving you a 53% win rate and you want to get better at those champions, start watching your replays and learning from your mistakes. 3, if you think you know the champions right now that you want to play and you're like, I really want to make these work, I do game reviews with players for people who know what champions they want to play, but they want to get better at them. So if you're interested in that, let me know once you've watched this on Discord and we can set up a game review session. 4, if you like learning, so I have just released a course online. If you like learning these things, if you want to learn how to control your mentality better, so if you find you tilt, get angry at teammates or get distracted when teammates perform poorly, if you want to learn how to track your own progress, so how to build your own champion pool, how to track your stats based on improvement, and if you want to learn how to do your own game reviews, I've built a course that do these 3 things. I'll put a link in the YouTube description below where you can look at that, but I'll also send a link when I send you this video recording of this profile view. Jeremiah, if you're a new player, you're doing so well already. Do not let anyone else, whatever you watch, your friends, some streamer say, silver players are shit. Do not listen to what those people are saying because they're not on the same journey as you. They haven't done what you've done. They haven't been you haven't been playing League as long as them. You're playing different champions. You have different goals. You have different time. Like maybe you just can't play enough games. You've only played, 50 games this season. Some players like Tyler One have already played 1,000. Sometimes we just can't play as much League of Legends as someone and we can't be as good as them. That's fine. Don't worry about that. The only thing I want you to focus on, Jeremiah, if you only learn one thing from today's profile view, is focus on being better than who you were yesterday. You are in a competition with yourself. No one else. Not the person above you, not the enemies against you, not the allies on your team. You are not playing against them. You are trying to be better than who you were yesterday. Because if you are always better than who you were yesterday, you're going to climb. Even if it's 1% better, even if you're just doing one thing better than you were yesterday, you are always going to climb, and I want you to remember that. Jeremiah, You're a good player. If you're new, you're doing really well. Silver for 4 in your first season is great. Most people, again, like about 90% of people end up in iron or bronze in their first season. So you've already beaten 90% of the people in your same situation if you're a new player. If this is a new account, you might need to work on it. But remember what I said at the start of this. Come up with a climbing thesis, focus on the champions you enjoy playing and the champions you're good at. And remember, you're only competing against yourself. Who you were yesterday, those 4 things, you can get to platinum. It's only a matter of time and how many games you're playing a day and how consistent you are with staying with those 4 things. So Jeremiah, cheers. Good luck on the Rift. And please, 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 once you've watched this, feel free to ask me any questions, ask for any tips, advice, or if you want to know more about game reviews or my Untiltable course, please do not hesitate to reach out to me and I will answer your questions. Thanks.